You know, for decades, the entire business world has pretty much held its breath waiting for Warren Buffett's annual letter. But this one's different. It's not just about stocks and returns, this is his final word. At 95 years old, Buffett is sharing his ultimate lessons on success, luck, and what really truly matters in the end. So, let's dive into the key takeaways from this incredible document.
It all starts with just three little words. I'm going quiet. With that one simple phrase, at 95, one of the most iconic voices in finance signals that an era is over. It sets this really powerful, almost solemn tone for the incredibly personal reflections that are about to come.
So the letter kicks right off with the big news. After a whole lifetime at the helm, Buffett is officially stepping back. But, this is Warren Buffett we're talking about, so the transition isn't just a handshake and a gold watch. It's a meticulously planned transfer of power at one of the biggest companies on the planet.
And of course, the succession plan is crystal clear. Classic Buffett. Greg Abel, who Buffett himself calls a great manager, is officially taking the reins as CEO. And while Buffett is stepping away from his legendary annual report and those marathon Q&A sessions, he's not just vanishing. Nope, he's starting a new tradition, an annual Thanksgiving message, just to stay in touch with shareholders.
So after the news of the present, Buffett makes this beautiful pivot back to the past. He basically argues that the roots of his entire unbelievable success story can all be traced back to one, maybe unlikely, place: his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska.
And I love this. He poses the question himself, which just perfectly sets up the next part of his story. Was it just some random coincidence that so many key people in his life and in Berkshire's history all came from this one Midwestern city? Or was there something else going on?
This timeline, it just brilliantly illustrates his point. It is a stunning web of connections. His lifelong partner, Charlie Munger, worked at his grandfather's grocery store just a block away, years before they even officially met. The guy who would become president of Coca-Cola, Don Keough, lived right across the street. Even his hand-picked successors, Greg Abel and Ajit Jain, had deep roots in Omaha. It's just an incredible story of proximity and pure serendipity.
So, for Buffett, Omaha wasn't just a place on a map. It was the whole foundation of his success. And what is he credited to? Right there in his own words, dumb luck. And that phrase, it's not just him being humble. It's a core piece of his philosophy, and it leads us right into the most profound section of this entire letter.
Okay, so now we shift into the really philosophical part of the letter. This is where Buffett grapples with the two huge uncontrollable forces that he believes shaped his life and, let's be honest, shape all of our lives: luck and time.
I just love how he personifies these things. It's brilliant. So on one side, you've got Lady Luck, who he says is fickle, completely unfair, and just drops by whenever she feels like it. Then on the other side, you've got Father Time, who is undefeated, inevitable, and, as Buffett kind of wryly notes, finds you a lot more interesting as you get older. See, luck can run out, but time always wins.
This might be the most powerful quote in the whole letter. Buffett calls it winning the ovarian lottery. He is just completely unflinching in his belief that so much of his success came down to things he had zero control over: when he was born, his health, his race, his gender, and his country. It's just a stunning, honest acknowledgement of the advantages he started with. And right here, he confronts that other force. He's brutally honest about what it's like to get old. And this isn't just some philosophical thought. It has real-world consequences. This realization that Father Time is in the neighborhood is the direct reason for the next major part of his letter, his plan for giving away his fortune.
So what do you do when you realize you've been incredibly lucky and that your time is running out? Well, if you're Warren Buffett, you hit the accelerator on your plan to give it all away. This section really gets into the why and the how of his massive philanthropic mission.
Let's just pause and really look at this number: 2.7 million. That's the number of Berkshire Hathaway shares he gave away in just his latest Thanksgiving donation. The scale is just staggering, and believe me, it is all part of a very deliberate plan. So, why speed up the giving now? Well, this isn't some emotional, last-minute decision. It's a strategic one. His logic is absolutely crystal clear. He thinks his kids are at their peak wisdom right now to manage the funds. He wants the work done before they have to face the challenges of getting old. It gives them flexibility, and this is crucial, he completely rejects the idea of ruling from the grave, noting that it has a terrible track record.
And what does he expect from them? Not miracles. This quote is just trademark Buffett pragmatism. His goal isn't perfection.
It's just to do a decent job and be a little bit more effective than other ways wealth gets redistributed. It is an incredibly humble and realistic goal for one of the biggest philanthropic projects in human history.
And that brings us to the end of the letter, which is where Buffett offers his final words of advice. I mean, these are lessons that were forged over nearly a century of watching businesses, markets, and human nature.
He takes a really sharp aim at the modern corporate world, especially runaway CEO pay. He argues the problem isn't a lack of information, it's just human nature. The engine driving it all, he says, is simple envy and greed. All those well-intentioned disclosure rules totally backfired because now CEOs just compare themselves to each other, creating this constant ratcheting effect where everybody just wants more.
But his final advice goes way beyond business. It gets into these simple, profound life lessons. Choose your heroes carefully. Learn from your mistakes. But maybe the most powerful one is his reminder about kindness, how it's both costless and priceless, and that the cleaning lady deserves the exact same respect as the chairman. These are the core principles he's figured out after nearly a century of living.
And he wraps all of this advice up into one final, super powerful thought experiment he calls the obituary test. He tells the story about Alfred Nobel, who, get this, actually got a chance to read his own obituary by mistake. And he was horrified to see himself remembered as a merchant of death for inventing dynamite. That shock spurred him to create the Nobel Prizes and completely change his entire legacy.
And this is it. This is his final challenge to all of us. We're not going to be as lucky as Alfred Nobel and get a sneak peek of our legacy. So the message is clear. We have to do the work now. Decide how you want to be remembered, and then go out and live a life that actually earns it.
And that's where Buffett leaves us. His final letter, it's not really a farewell to shareholders, it's a timeless guide to living a meaningful life. And it all boils down to this one profound question, which he leaves for all of us to think about. What do you want your obituary to say?